Very much. Thank you very much for your kind invitation and for having me today. It's Milja, but it's fine. I'm used to mispronunciations. That's all right. So today I will speak to you about cinematic spaces of memory, and my focus is on the Balkan Peninsula, specifically the space that will become during the 20th century first the Kingdom of Yugoslavia and then the State of Yugoslavia. And I looked specifically at representations and the ways in which film pioneers, conveyed and represented historical events, people, their customs, and so on. Let me just a moment. Right. So, memory and cinema, just a brief, to give you the brief introduction. And this was a matter of many studies in philosophy from the beginning, from the earliest time of cinema. This is that cinema introduced something into the arts that, that it has that other arts, forms of arts don't have, and that's time. Some claim that basically cinematic space is the projection of cinematic time. So what is specific about cinema, that is time and space. What I looked at and what I find within cinema, that is space within space, which we will discuss today, and time within time. Also the way this is conveyed through cinema. Also, this is related to the question of truth, especially from the beginnings of cinema, as I said, because it was a document in the first place. What is factual, what is experiential truth? How do we record, how do we communicate truth? And how do we remember truth? Also, it is important to say that this also has ontological dimension. And this is that the claim that memory is impossible without consciousness, and without consciousness about truth, there is no human being as a logos-bearing being. Why am I quoting this? This is because the first filmmakers were influenced by this kind of understanding of cinema that has its own specific it has its own specific development in this area of the world. So what I mean is that its development was slightly different than in other countries, in terms of, in a sense that it was more focused on film language rather than any other form. So film language was central. What we see in those films is memory of people, their reality, and these are usually people that are left out of history books. They're not, so to speak, they're not important that much for the history books. Memory of culture. So we have geographical spaces that vanished, some cities, villages, customs, then interaction between people of different faiths and different ethnic groups. And we also have a lot of nature, and the way we can see through the way the filmmakers film this, how they relate to these places and to people. As I said, this is a very a large topic, and it's been a matter of philosophy, theology, film studies, linguistics, visual arts, science. But I will focus specifically on this period. So we have early cinema. From 1896 to 1939. I divided it in three periods. The beginnings until the Great War, this is a very particularly rich period because we have independent filmmakers. These are grassroots pioneers that somehow, after the premiere of the brothers Lumiere, in Belgrade. Film blossomed basically in this area of the world, and the first filmmakers, those who can get camera, were led by curiosity and enthusiasm for the new art, and they were basically focused to record life as it is. And as I said, these are the first developments of film language. And what they recorded, as you will see, is people and their customs, places, and of course, major events. Then we have the period of Great War, where we have a real footage gathered, like from the Great War, and the first development of the war cinema. And then, of course, we have restaging in that period because not everything was recorded. What I found in my study, and I wonder if we will have time, is that there is some kind of ontological historical approach to the topic of war, which I find is very important. Having in mind that the first war films were recorded in this period and later, as a memory of the First World War. And this is a kind of, let's say, a war film that has an anti-war message. And I think this has been largely overlooked in academic studies, if not completely left out. And then we have 1918 to 1939, which is the cutoff because of the Second World War, where we have these new artistic developments, of course, rooted in the early period. We have changing spaces and communities gathered in one kingdom, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, and new features, new developments in terms of film language, which is also very important. Now, I would like to draw your attention to one of the first films that was made by the Manaki brothers. And this is usually the film that you can find in film studies and history books. This is called The Grandmother Despina, where the Manaki brothers basically filmed their grandmother spinning the wheel. It is very interesting. We have only small footage preserved. So this is, I think, still during the decline of the Ottoman Empire in today's Northern Macedonia, the country of Northern Macedonia, and we have this kind of just basically the everydayness of life. But we have a gentle touch, gentle approach to her daily activities. So this was one of the most personal memories of the grandmother preserved in cinema. Next, just a moment. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Now, the next thing is learning through frame. This is the also one of the this is a still image, I have to say. These are not photographs. These are still images where I, as I said, I studied history through frame, which means I try to I basically argued that we can learn about history by studying, approaching film through frame. And this is the welcoming of the Austro-Hungarian Emperor Franz Josef in Osijek, today's Croatia. And I found this shot, which was very interesting for me because what it says here is the people, the frontier people who were guarding the borders of the Austro-Hungarian Empire against the Ottoman Empire. And this is also important. It could be important for people who are dealing with historical studies because of the configuration of the population and what's been happening. So in itself, this is very important, what we find. So the next thing I would like to move you is to one of the what I find very interesting developments, and this is Belgrade at Winter. This is how it's called now, the footage by a very famous filmmaker of the time, pre-war time. And this is important. Why? Because this is the first focus. It shows that also the focus of the first filmmakers was with the environment. So they were focusing on natural movement, they took their time in depicting just the movement of the iceberg movements on the rivers Sava and Danube in Belgrade. And this is also recorded for the first time in film. And the whole film basically blends these geographical and physical aspects of the city. So we have the physical landscape is contextualized within the geography of the area, taking, of course, into account the spatial, temporal, architectural, and ecological, and of course, seasonal elements. So these are environmental transformation that are really seldomly depicted in films of the early era. And the camera's close proximity to the eyes allows this technically intriguing approach that captures both motion and stillness. So this is a cinematic tracking that is known also as observational cinematography, later developed in theory. Sorry, it's just my PowerPoint tends to. Right. This is the first documentary. I thought it would be very interesting to show it here. Of course, the religious ceremony is left out. This is the King Peter of Serbia in 1904, and this is the first coronation recorded in camera by camera of the time. As you can see here is the significance of the first coronation. What I wanted to draw your attention to is that it was made by two Englishmen who were invited by King personally. They were from Sheffield, and they were honorary consuls of the Serbian kingdom at the time. So this is the oldest surviving document that shows the Serbian people, I mean all the people who live on the territory. It's the oldest motion picture on the Balkan Peninsula, and it's the oldest coronation shot in Europe, with the exception of Tsar Nicholas II, which was filmed at the early beginnings of cinema in Russia. And this is the first and the finest example of news communication by film. And you can find that also in history books and film studies, because this is what it meant for Europe of that time as the finest news communication. What I put here in bold, as you can see, is that many early films depicted state events, but the coronation is different because it keeps this close proximity to people, and it brings us face to face with the subject. So it doesn't look that the king, the official ceremony, the cameraman are so much distant from the public. Then the next, one of the next important films of the time is The Fire in Thessaloniki, and as far as I'm aware, this is basically the only preserved document in the fire of the fire in Thessaloniki, which is also very important because after this, as far as I'm aware, the population of Thessaloniki will have some changes. It will change after this tragic document. And so the focus is on reality of life. There is no dramatic approach. The fire is recorded, but also how people interacted after the fire, during the fire, and after the fire. Now, going back to one of the early films, this is an important film as well. This is related to the Balkan Wars, and it's called The Return of the Serbian Victors after the Balkan Wars. And again, we see this informal approach to the formal event. This is the Duke, in the center is the Duke Radomir Putnik, and it's very unconventional manner, where he's seated in the chair amongst the people as if he's posing for a photograph. So he's basically placed among the people, and the framing, what we can learn through frame is that it suggests that he's not just a hero, some kind of distant figure, but he came from the people and for the people. This is what why framing is important. This is the same film. Again, we can see this kind of completely unconventional approach. This is the parade, but what we see is the boys and the people and the children entering the frame, like facing the camera. And this fosters a sense of intimacy with the audience. The movement of the soldiers as they pass by create a sense of extended diagonal space that extends well beyond our line of sight. This is this communication between on screen and off screen. Off screen is that which we cannot see. This is again the same film. I put this specific shot because not only that it shows, this is a very long shot, I have to say. This is completely, again, overlooked in the studies, historical studies, film studies, and so on. This is the first and the longest tracking shot, plus it's a reverse tracking shot in the history of cinema. It hasn't been mentioned anywhere. And it's a very long shot. It's a very, it took a lot of effort because the filmmaker had to change the reel while they were filming on a track, while driving. And what it shows us is in reverse what happens after the celebration. People in the street, different communities, all different faiths, how they interact, and also the city that has changed so much. So this is very important for the history of cinema. This is the same film, and this is important.
Sorry to interrupt you. 2 minutes left.
Yes. Sorry.
Sorry, you have about 4 minutes left. Is that okay?
That is fine. I'll skip all my slides. I wasn't sure. Sorry about timing. My apologies. I'll just tell you that deep focus, which is usually related to Orson Welles, appears as early as in this film, The Funeral of a Lieutenant. We have deep focus means that there are several aspects happening. In 4 minutes, I'll try to explain the faith dimension here, or religious. This is the oath of the Varda Regiment soldiers, 1914. What we see here is Rabbi Isaac Alkalai, very important for the kingdom of Yugoslavia and the regent and then future king. What I want to tell you is that they were filmed for 6 minutes. The rabbi was filmed, which is a significant amount of time for the time when it was filmed. And we can see that they're filmed as equal, which tells us about the position of the Jewish community in the beginning, at the turn of the 20th century. I'll skip the Great War, although we have here a lot of interesting restaging again. I want to skip the rivers and quarters, the memories, and I want to draw your attention that this is the first ever filmed call this is the Islamic prayer, call to prayer. It was filmed in Sarajevo in 1934, and this is the first recorded ever with the sound. Call to prayer. And it's interesting because we have this communication of the off-screen, the backdrop of the city of Sarajevo, but also of the surrounding hills. This is the city of Mostar, where we have this bridge that connects the Catholic side, so to speak, the Catholic majority and the Muslim majority, and the bridge that connects them. This is one of the first footage from Kosovo and Metohija and the Orthodox monastery of Gračanica, and the people, the women especially. So in terms of motions as well, sorry, I miscalculated the time. I'll take you to here. So we have this subjective time as memory, actuality of memories, lyrical and historical and artistic, okay? And inner memory. My question is, do we remember or do we just wash our memory and rewrite the history? And how do we remember? And I'll just bring you to conclusion, although I skipped a lot. what I found in early film and cinematic memory, so to speak, is this interaction between on-screen and off-screen spaces, what we see and what we do not see, where camera takes us, and what we can only guess, which is a very early not only technical development, but artistic development that suggests something, that there is something beyond the screen, and we are invited to contemplate on that. Then we have numerous spaces. These are religious communities, these are geographical landscapes, these are sacred spaces like mosques, monasteries, cathedrals, churches, cemeteries, etc. And then what we have is that we learn the context also, not just from the content, but also we learn about the context through frame, through analyzing the frame, the way that the filmmakers, random filmmakers from this area of different backgrounds, related to the subject. And what is left out from the history books, we can learn actually from the cinema. So in that sense, cinema, early cinema is a document, but it is also a space of memory, because a lot of these communities will disappear during the Second World War, and because also of the way, because of the ways they employ memory, such as in this slide, this is one of the feature films. It's called The Kosovo Battle. We had the famous one from 1989, which was related to nationalist religious ideology, but the original one, I claim, and it's clear from studying this film, is not. It's not a nationalistic film. It's just an epic. But some, unfortunately, I think some academics claim that it's somehow related, which I didn't find at all. So this is important to study and to understand what memory means. I think it's important for the new technologies, for everything that we have in science that is developing now. I think it's important that we start from frame to understand this and to understand the communities and interaction of the people of different faiths and different ethnicities, how they actually interacted, know how it's been rewritten or written in the historical narratives. Okay, thank you.